Pawn to b3. b4 is the orangutan, b3 the little orangutan. Pawn to e5. Bishop to b2. Knight to c6. Pawn to c4. Pawn to g6. Knight to c3. Bishop to g7. Pawn to g3. Pawn to d6. Bishop to g2. Black to play. What to move? If pawn to f5, an interesting move. If pawn to h5. White to play. What to move? If knight to f3. If pawn to h4. Bishop to e6 was played in the game. The bishop is clashing with the a2 b3 c4 wall. The bishops are long-range pieces and it's not clear if e6 is the optimal square. A potential pawn on d5 can fork knight and bishop. It was more flexible to delay the development of the bishop. White to play. What to move? If pawn to e3. Knight to f3 was played in the game. Black to play. What to move? If pawn to e4. Pawn to f5 was played in the game. Pawn to d4. White decides to attack the center before black can take full control of it. Black to play. What to move? If knight to d4. White will eventually get the pawn back because d4 is pinned and it can be attacked with e3. If pawn to d4. King to c8 and white is better. Pawn to e4, a obvious move, was played in the game. Inaccuracy. nxd4 was best. Pawn to d5. Pawn to f3. White to play. What to move? If bishop to f3. Pawn to f3 was played in the game. This move is more precise than bxf3, to prevent the exchange of light-squared bishops. Bishop to d7. Pawn to c6. Bishop to c6. King to g1. White is already winning. Black king is still in the center. White can exert pressure on the e-file and start a minority attack on the queen side. Knight to e7. Pawn to b4. Black to play. What to move? If pawn to b6 a mistake. Black to play. What to move? If king to g8 a mistake. If queen to d7. If pawn to a6 a mistake. King to g8 was played in the game. Pawn to b5. Bishop to e8. Pawn to f4. Black to play. What to move? If bishop to f7. Black to play. What to move? If king to g7 a mistake. If bishop to f1. Rook to b8 was played in the game. Queen to d3. Bishop to f7. Rook to d1. Pawn to a6. Pawn to a4. Pawn to b5. Pawn to b5. Black to play. What to move? If pawn to c6. Pawn to b6 a obvious move, was played in the game. Inaccuracy, c6 was best. Knight to a4. White forces the exchange of black's best piece. Also from b2 the knight can defend the c4 pawn. Bishop to b2. Knight to b2. Black to play. What to move? If pawn to h6. King to g7 a blunder, was played in the game. Inaccuracy, h6 was best. Is hard to understand this move. It allows to improve the position of white's queen. Queen to c3. King to h6. Pawn to h3. Black's king is cut from the a1-h8 diagonal. White threatens to open the kingside and attack the king g4 g5 bf3. Black to play. What to move? If knight to g8. Bishop to e6 was played in the game. White has tortured black's light-squared bishop the whole game. Now the bishop comes to defend the g4 break. Rook to e1. Bishop to d7. Knight to d3. Knight to g8. Activating the last piece, White starts the reroute of the knight to attack the queen side. Knight to b4. Queen to f6. Queen to f6. Knight to f6. Knight to a6. Black to play. What to move? If rook to c8 a mistake. Rook to e8 was played in the game. Knight to c7. Rook to e1. Rook to e1. Rook to c8. Knight to d5. Knight to d5. Bishop to d5. Rook to e8. Rook to a1. Bishop to e6. Bishop to e6. Rook to e6. Rook to a6. Rook to e4. Rook to b6. Rook to c4. Rook to d6. Rook to b4. Pawn to b6. Rook to b3. King to g2. Rook to b4. Rook to c6. White is winning. He has 2 extra pawns at both sides of the board. White can mobilize their kingside pawns. The rook can attack the black pawns from behind. And if necessary, the king can be transferred to the queen side to help the advance of the b pawn. Black to play. What to move? If king to g7. Rook to b3 was played in the game. Pawn to g4. Rook to b4. King to g3. Rook to b3. Pawn to f3. Pawn to g4. Pawn to g4. King to g7. Rook to c7. King to f6. Pawn to g5. King to e6. Pawn to b7. Rook to b1. Rook to h7. King to f5.